I think he's fantastic. He's
for
an
sure.
absolute phenomenal left-handed defenseman.
This is LA Kings Fan Talk with your boys, Rodney, Rob, Darren, and Joe.
All right, boys, with the trade deadline a month away, let's talk potential Kings trades. Darren, start us off.
Yeah. So I think we have a couple different ways the Kings can go this trade deadline. And I'd like to get your thoughts about what way you guys think we should go first off. And so the first way is we can take a big swing, and that's getting, a guy like Chychrun. We could go after someone like Horvat maybe if we think we need more offense. There's not really a big goalie swing you could take, but you could, there's multiple names at forward and defense you could try and do a big swing on. The second route they could go, which is probably the route they're gonna take, is small moves, kind of like last trade deadline. Troy Stetcher type guys where they're gonna fill depth positions, probably not coming back, just to kind of round out the roster. And then the third option is they don't make any moves, which is possible. We have so much depth in our organization. But what do you guys think, Rob?
I think where we stand in the standings right now, we briefly talked about this earlier. Where are we going to be as an organization? Are we buyers? Are we sellers? Don't obviously I don't think we're sellers. I don't think anyone thinks we're sellers, but in a way of being buyers, don't you think we should be a little more stable in the standings? Because as we record right now, we just dropped from first to third in one day, and the Oilers have 2 games in hand on us, and we're only 2 points up on them. Flames have 2 games up on us, and they might be 1 point. They win those 2 games, they're only a point behind us. We might drop all the way down to fifth.
Yeah,
So I think a lot's it's a month away. A lot can change in that month. So as we're speaking right now, as far as trade talks and everything, I agree with you. I don't think we're going to make any kind of major moves because we're going to sell the farm to get a couple guys to make a playoff push that we might not even make. I don't know. It's a little discerning, but
yeah. I think the devil's advocate position is we are in the mix, and so if we make a big swing, does that push us from being a out in the first round team to a second, third Stanley Cup final team? You know what I mean? And
well, right. But then that's my thing is for us to, it has to be a big swing. And is the organization ready to make a big swing at it for being where we're at? Uh, I don't know. I don't think I don't think that's in his DNA right now. He's been as conservative as someone can be as far as GMs go. I think he's sticking to his plan. I don't know. We'll see.
So you're thinking if they do make a move, it'll be just before the deadline. See how February goes for the Kings.
yeah, it'll probably. If I had to guess, it's going to be a couple depth guys. The guys who I have written down, and one of them is going to be an interesting one, is Ole Mata, something like that, like a sixth, seventh defenseman who we can plug in. Jake Megna from the Sharks, and again, I know these guys. These names are not exciting, but it's like if we're getting value picks, these are value guys who are making pretty little money. They're they're solid at what they do. They're not flashy. They're Troy Stetcher from last season, and it's boring to talk about those guys, but they are crucial to what could be a good playoff run. I mean, look what Troy Stetcher did to us or did for us last season. So
What do you do for us?
he scored 2 goals in
Or two
playoffs.
goals. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
He we
Yeah, I
lost
think
lost in the first round. That's okay.
I think like we're in like a very weird spot, like where clearly there's a couple of needs, and one of them is uh, definitely the left-handed shot defenseman, preferably somebody that's physical. This is my opinion, obviously.
Yours and every other Kings fan.
And then obviously the goaltending. And I if there is a goaltender out there, do you go get him? Just if it's an improvement over Copley, I don't know. Like I don't even know who that would be, but I think basically the Kings aren't going to be the aggressors in terms of trade. If something comes by that makes sense, whether it's long term, like a hockey deal where you get that left-handed defenseman that fits within the next few years window, then certainly you should entertain it. Like even if that means getting rid of some valuable pieces, which you presumably would have to do. But other than that, I don't really see like Darren, the players you mentioned. I don't even see a point in getting players like that. I'd rather just see Bjornfort be playing, and if that's the route we're going to go, we might as well just let them sink or swim on their own. But in terms of getting a goaltender, like you're really like that's something that I would like to address, but it's just you put yourself in a weird spot because it's not like Quick's going to be get sent down. So that would mean the player
You
would
can't send Copley down. Yeah,
why? Because he would get picked.
he get picked up. He's a waiver guy.
So yeah, I mean we're pretty much stuck with those two at this point, and that's fortunately our Achilles heel. I mean the defenseman's a luxury at this point. Like the goaltending is, you got to just pray that what's his name can hang on. Like, the players in front of him continue to play well. So go ahead,
Joe. I saw you perk up when Darren said Ole Mata because fans of the podcast know what a Mata fan you are. So I was just
look. I at the end of the day didn't have that big of a problem with them. I know you're giving me crap there, but yeah, I mean certainly there's not anybody that's make a difference on the team. To Darren made the comment. We do have depth already, so it's like we need upgrades. If we're gonna make a move, it's got to make sense. And that might happen. Like you never know. Like somebody might get aggressive and want to just maybe they like some of our younger players and they have something that we could use. But I won't hold my breath if that's the case.
I think the two that I like the most that are kind of it's not something the Kings inherently need, but I think it could be an interesting route if they go that way, is getting another center and pushing was out back down to the fourth line center. And the only problem it creates is when Moore comes back, where does Byfield go? But if you get a guy like Ryan O'Reilly, who's possibly available from St. Louis, you get a guy like Dylan Larkin, who's possibly available from Detroit. Like those guys, if they're your second, third center, like it's a lot of depth. And the Kings can make almost any deal work if they trade Walker and Joe's boy Grunstrom. And then just making it work with the retained salary on the other end. So any deal for this year alone with like a UFA, they can make it work. It's if they try and get into a longer term deal, then they run into more salary cap problems. But
so Darren,
I don't think I'd want to give up what it would cost to get either of those two players you mentioned. As somebody out there that's a legit contender is going to pay a serious cost for them, and I would think it would be. I would think it would, just not be a
see, and it's
smart use of assets.
It's what you just said, though, Joe. I agree with you 100%. But in 3 weeks, in 4 weeks, say we kind of just catch fire and kind of solidify. Say we're in first place and we're kind of a legitimate contender. I can see Ryan O'Reilly really. Can you imagine that guy as our third line center? And with Velarde healthy, Kaliev healthy, and more healthy, all those guys get pushed down to third and even fourth line kind of things. That's one little thing.
But you're going to have to give up a boatload. Like I mean,
so?
I'm thinking you're giving up like definitely one of our good young players.
What
And I would qualify Iafallo as one of those.
what do their
Um,
contracts look like, Darren?
O'Reilly is 7.5 and Larkin is 6.1. They're both UFAs. I think
Right.
everyone,
It's a
almost
rental,
everyone,
So their
100%
rentals
rental.
show
they're
wouldn't be too
100%
much.
rentals.
and that's the thing is like I just I get what you're saying too, Rob. Like I don't I don't think this is the year that you want to really go all
I
in
think
on. There's just too many question marks. Again, the goaltending, like, and then yeah, it's just
Right.
I'd save my chips for next year.
And that's what I'm saying. I agree with you. It's a weird situation we're in, which is the way the whole team's playing all season. But all I was saying is just, that 5% chance of holy smacks, we catch fire, we're in first place and right before the trade deadline. This is it. Yep. Byfield is 100% comfortable and he's a stud. Just when weird things happen. But I honestly, I hate to say it. I hate being negative, but I don't think that's going to happen. So that's why, yeah.
I don't know if it's
I think
something we plan on talking about, but at some point, do we want to talk about just how tight the Western Conference is? It's insane.
Yeah. The
When you look at
Pacific
point percentage, everybody's
Pacific.
hovering around that 0.6 or 60% points percentage from, I think, what, 10 teams or more, maybe, that are either just above it or just below that number.
I think it's 8 or 9. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
Because I think
derail the conversation, but I mean,
no,
No,
no, no.
it goes
You're right.
as high as
But I
it.
mean, I think that's, in my opinion, I wouldn't mind them maybe not getting a guy like O'Reilly or Larkin, but like making even a mid tier deal where it's like it's not like an Olimata, but it's not Jacob
Like a Ryan
Chychrun
Reeves.
type of deal. Yeah, I mean, or like I have written down Max Domi from Chicago, younger guy, can play center, can play wing. He's an offensive type of guy, and it's like, he's not the most exciting player, but I think he has a point per game season in this past, or maybe it was like a 70-point season. So,
Okay.
so it'd be like something like that would be interesting to me, just because our core pieces of Kopitar, Doughty, and Quick are getting older, and this might be the last run for Quick. I mean, the way he's looked, I don't know if he's coming back, if the Kings want to re-sign him, or if he's even going to try and give it another season with how he's looked this year. But like, it might be our last run with him. So do we want to try and this was my argument last year when I don't think we knew Brown was retiring, but it was like pretty, implied that he was going to be done. And it's like, maybe we should take a swing. And that's kind of what I wanted last year. I wanted them to get like a guy like Andrew Kopp. And, he's not like a huge name, but he's someone who can make your lineup better from a bottom or like a middle 9 or middle 6 perspective. So
I'm surprised Domi's bounced around so much. Like, what has he got, like, some issues? Because he's a good player, at least from my recollection.
How much would he fit on this Kings team? I mean, undersized like everybody else on the Kings. It's like we have a clone factory of all these undersized players.
true, but I think the other thing with him is like we always talk about we want toughness, and while he's not like a
physical.
big guy, he doesn't take any shit. You know what I mean? Like he's tough in I think the way most Kings fans want, or how do I phrase it? He's not tough in like the traditional sense, but like he's not going to take anything. It's kind of how he's kind of like Fiala in that way, I think. So
I'll pass on him. We got enough little rats that don't do much.
Little rats. Are we that small? I mean,
Well, it's not that we're that small, but just, I mean, unless
But we're
you
that
got,
small. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, when I look at Arvidsson and Lazat, just they're just there's no physicality there because they're just that small. I don't know. And our big guys just don't play big enough.
yeah, that's fair. And I've definitely been beating the drum with the physicality. I think we could definitely use some upgrade there. definitely.
So Darren, what general managers or what scouts have been following the Kings around, looking for potential trades? I know Ottawa's been there. Who else?
Yeah, I think that's the big one is Ottawa because that points to are we getting Talbot or they're scouting for guys for the trade for Talbot. The other thing is they need a right D, I believe, and so I don't really follow too much who's scouting who. I don't know. I feel like that's just something that happens all the time. But
So the question becomes with Ottawa is everyone's talking about Talbot, Talbot, Talbot. Well, we get rid of, everyone's talking Walker and Roy. What if it's really Shabbat?
Down for
Because
that.
because I think he's fantastic. He's
For
an
sure.
absolute phenomenal left-handed defenseman. 2-for-1 action right there.
I think you'd have to go more than just those two. But
Right, but I'm just the
right.
picks and all that other stuff. But I'm talking roster.
For sure.
The way things fit right away. Man, that would be an absolute upgrade for sure.
Yeah.
Make it so.
I think on D, the other guy I like if we're not going to get someone like Chabot, who's going to be hard to move because he's kind of one of their cornerstone guys for Ottawa. I like Jake McCabe out of Chicago. He's a physical guy. He's going to play the, maybe not the Scuderi role, but like the Willie Mitchell, Robin Rigger type banger defensive left-handed defenseman kind of guy. And we said it last podcast where it's like we don't need a ton of offense from the left side. So if we get our offense from the right side, we can get our stay-at-home guys on the left.
So what's kind of crazy is the big names for trades. If you just type in trade lists or whatever on Google, and one of the first ones that come up, they come up with a whole list of names, and it seems it's all Western Conference players. No one in the East wants to really get rid of anybody they want. You got everyone on Vancouver that's up for grabs, and then Chicago's up for grabs, and San Jose. All those guys they all have pieces. That's what I start to wonder is if the Kings are going to do anything, all the hot names, all the commodities that are wanted are in conference, and a lot of them are actually in division. Does that make their cost go a little higher, or will teams just not trade us? Can you see us getting Reimer from San Jose? I don't think that happens, but it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I don't see any in division stuff happening. Possibly conference, but
yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's too many guys in division that I had on my list that I wrote down. I mean, maybe because I just inherently thought the Kings wouldn't go in division.
Right.
But
and I'm not giving up on Chychrun.
You think he's the guy?
No, well, I'm just saying his name's been out there for so long and no one's pulled the trigger. Then that means the people that have the most to give up seems to be the ones that are in line to get them. And we've all, it's widely known the Kings' depth and I think we have a good chance at it still. It's not something, like I said, I don't want to overpay or anything like that, but if there is going to be a slight overpayment, the Kings can afford that.
Why is his name always talked about so much?
Because he's the most coveted because he's so young and his contract is so friendly.
So how many more years does he have?
Now it's 2.
4, 6.
I just wonder why does Arizona even have a team?
So
it seemed like they're constantly.
In that 56 game season, 2 years ago or whatever, he had would he have 18 goals or something stupid like that?
Yeah.
And so everyone saw his finishing from the defensive position and thought they kind of projected it up. And he's kind of dealt with injuries the last year and a half or so. But he came back from one, I want to say it was December or something like that, mid-December. and he's been really good since then. Like
And it's sort of like just the shiny new car out there. He's everything we want: size, left-handed, uh, extra year on the contract, affordable. Just the way he plays, it's just
So
one
the
of those things.
assumption is though that he'll move on from Arizona once his contract is up.
That's the assumption.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think it was late last year he asked the Coyotes to go ahead and look for trade partners for him. Like they came to an agreement that they would do that.
Since we're talking trades, you got to talk organizational depth. Kind of a little sad to see our Reign team. They're fifth in the
They're bad
Pacific.
right now.
They're terrible. Everyone's talking about how great our youth is. Why the hell are they in fifth? Why are they so bad? I mean, if we got all these great kids, man, they better start winning. If for, I mean, if
You think
I
it's
mean,
Peterson's fault?
oh, I don't know.
Lack of goaltender depth.
Can you track it? Their losing streak to when Peterson went down there.
I know he played really well to start. Like he had, I think we talked about it. He had like 5 games or something like that, or 4 games that were like really good. And then from that point, it's just been like loss. But I don't know how they were doing too much trend wise before that. So
when teams come knocking, when we go knocking and they ask for certain things, there are some guys down on the Reign though. I don't want to see Chromiak go for anybody. He's figuring out.
That's my boy right there.
He's figuring out the North American game now, and well, I mean, he came from juniors anyways, But I'm saying the man game,
adult.
He's starting to light it up. He's nice to watch, but guys like Madden and Dudas and you got Spence still down there and Moverare, and why aren't we better with all those names? And TJ Tynan's still leading the AHL in scoring.
Yeah.
He's still the best player in the AHL.
I'll tell you why.
What's wrong with them?
2 words. Martin Firk. Got rid of him. Got rid of him, and look what happened to the Reign.
Yeah.
Where is he these days?
He was with Chicago, but I think he got sent down.
Oh, okay. He played in
Chicago
NHL this year?
Or not Chicago, St. Louis. Sorry. He was with St. Louis on their farm team.
Another farm team is the best farm team in the world. So, just kidding.
Is there a lot of youth on the Reign, or like? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh, yeah. We're the names are sexy names. The potential is through the roof with a lot of the guys that I just said too.
Yeah.
That they're all projected to be solid NHL.
Yeah, like how many of them
players.
do you know offhand? How many of them are like first year players? Because I mean that.
Well, Chromiak is. That's why
Okay.
I mentioned him.
Gotcha.
Hellenius, Lee, a couple others. Yeah.
Hellenius and Anders Lee and we have
Helga Grans.
He was with them last year, right?
Yeah, Grans was down there last year.
Well, I don't have an answer for you. Cal Peters.
So we can, Rob, you talked about Eastern Conference teams a little bit ago, and I think part of it is, I was thinking about this while you were talking about the Reign. I think the team that you could look to get some stuff from that has some value is the Islanders. They've started falling off a little bit. And obviously the golden goose there would be Barzal, but I don't know if you're getting him. There was a little bit of like, could the deal work before he signed his contract in the offseason? But I mean, he'd be outstanding for them to get. But I was looking at Adam Pelech, big lefty defenseman.
Yeah.
He reminds me, I'm going to be a broken record. He reminds me a lot of Robin Regeer and Willie Mitchell type guys where they, play solid defense and they chip in a little bit offensively. So
sounds like you want to put together a 2022 version of our 2012 team or 2014 team. Do we have the right coach to approach it with that mentality?
I think Todd McClellan's a fine coach. I mean, why not? Look what he did the first last season.
You are going to just infuriate half of our listeners right there by saying that. I agree with you, by the way. I'm a Todd fan.
Yeah. I mean, look what we did last season where we had how many guys out? We had one of the most man games lost to injury in a season, and we were third in the Pacific, and took the Oilers to 7 games. So
it sounds like we need to reconvene and have another show in the last week just before the trade deadline to see what's going on.
Yes.
All right, Kings fans, don't forget to like and subscribe because that is our show for today. Until next time, stay classy and go Kings, go!
okay.